we will be learning about a new package which is known as body parser. Body parser is used to handle the body that is coming with the request. When we are making post request or even put or batch request, the body associated with how can we access that in Node.js and how can we use that body and store it in the database. We will look into this. So to get the data that is coming from the request, and the request data I want to add it to the database, not like this static data. I don't want to pass this static data. I want to pass the data that is coming with the request, maybe from the front end. As of now, we will try with only Thunder client, and then we will try to push it to the database. For that, we have to install another library which is known as body-parser. So body parser is a package which is used to access the data that is being sent from the request that is coming. So a post, we know that post request got a body associated with it, and update request has got a body associated with it. So from that post and update, I can get, so that I can get the body, I need the body parser. So here I will come and I will write const body parser equals require body parser. So body parser will help us to get what? The body section of the request. So after we have installed the body parser and required the body parser, what we will do, we will configure the body parser. So to configure, we will write app.use body parser URL encoded extended true. So what is this URL encoded doing? So URL encoded is a middleware which is used to set up body parser for this particular project, so that it can parse through the request that is sending and the data, the body section that is coming in that. So you should be able to parse it. Also app.use, so that any JSON format it is coming. So if it's coming in JSON format, so that is also accepted in the request body. If the JSON format is coming, so it should be able to read that JSON format. So for that, we write body parser.json. So let us suppose, so I will remove all this thing and I will first get whatever I am getting from the request. So I will write const data equals to rec.body. Now what is rec.body doing? So rec.body, the body section, the body part which contains the details of a users, like over here it is a student. So which student to be added to the database, that particular student details, that is his name, roll number, branch, year, all these things we are passing in the request. So when from the front end the request is made, the request comes from the front end along with the body. If I want to store a particular student, so from the front end itself the student details will be filled up and it will be sent from the front end to the back end, and that will come inside the request as a body section. So I can get the body by doing rec.body. So with the request that is coming to this particular API endpoint, a body is associated with it, store it inside data. Now from this data I will fetch one by one the name and then the roll number and then the other fields. So what I will do, I will create straight away create a student. So student equals to new student. Now this student is of which type? This student is of type the model that I have created. So inside the name field, what it will go? Data.name. Data.name. It will be comma. Then in the roll number field, it will be data.roll number. Branch field, it will be data.branch, and year field, it will be data.year. Because data is nothing but like just like an object. So from the front end, I will get it's like an object. So it will get like this, Abhishek, and like this kind of a object will be coming. Rec.body will look like this. So that is stored inside data. So data.name, I will get this. Data.roll number, I will get like that. And exactly the same. This is exactly the same. Again from here, update also has got a this thing. So const data is rec.body, and here in name what I will do, data.name. So from whichever, like whatever the data is coming from the rec.body, so that data will be like a particular name that I want to change. So that data.name I am updating it with. It was Abhishek. So now data.name must be something else. So I am updating with it. So let us check it. So now we will make a request from Thunder client to check whether our API endpoint is working or not. So now in the API endpoint, I will pass a body with along with the request, and the body data should be taken up over here from the rec.body, and it should be stored in the database in Atlas. So here we will come to Thunder client. We will write the particular URL where we are trying to make the request. We will select it to be post request. We will select the body, and inside that we will select JSON. And in this object key and value pair, we will write our body. So as a name, I am passing this, roll number I am passing this, branch I am passing, and then here. So I will click on send. So inserted is coming. Also there is some console log is happening. So let us see what is console log is happening. So here I have done console log data. So whatever the data I am getting, so data is rec.body. See, the rec.body was this portion. Now this portion I have received in this data, and data there is all these things are there. So all these things in data we can show it over here. Now let us check, is it there in the Atlas or not. So I will just refresh the website, and here it is. So the particular student is added. Now let us try to make a request for this update. So here in update also we are looking for the data from the rec.body, and from the data I am just taking the name. So I will be updating the name. So here let us go, and the API is /update. So /update, and it is a put request, so I will change it to put. And here I will just pass the name from Abhishek, and I will write Abhishek Garg, and here I will remove this. So I will click on send. So it is saying updated. Let us check in our website. So here I will just refresh. So yeah, so you can see that this is also happening, like updating is also happening. Now let us check over here in delete. So in deleting, I am in the name, I am hard coding the Abhishek Garg. So here also I will write data dot name, and I will get the data from the rec.body. So const data equals to rec.body. So this rec.body, I will be sending the name that I want to delete. So everything will be from the request. So that's how it should come. Okay. So in delete is the API endpoint. So I will write this delete. It is a delete and name, and I will click on send, and it is saying deleted. Let us go back to the website and check it is deleted or not. I will just refresh the website, and here it is deleted. So now we have learned how to handle all the sorts of requests: get request, put request, post request, and delete request, not only in local database but also in Atlas database, and not only passing some static value but also passing dynamic value from the request. Whatever the value that will be coming from the request, that I can fetch and I can perform the necessary action. So this was all about handling HTTP requests and RESTful APIs using ExpressJS. So welcome everyone. In this lecture, we will understand what are middlewares and how middlewares work with ExpressJS. So let us now understand what are middlewares. Middlewares are nothing but a middle check between our request that is coming from the front end, or for example, now we are making the request from the Thunder client, and the execution of the request in the controller function. The execution of the controller function will only be allowed if the middleware that is sitting in between the requesting thing and the execution, if they call the next cursor, if they allow the cursor flow to go to the controller function, then only the controller function execution will happen, otherwise no. So we use middlewares to put a lot of checks, right? Now here, what are there like middlewares? Like there are various inbuilt middlewares. Over here we can see app.use is used to create a middleware, and here bodyparser.url encoded, it is actually a middleware. What this middleware is doing? This middleware has the access to the request, whatever the request is, be it a get request, post request, any request that is being made to this particular server with any endpoint, it has got the access to that particular request. Internally what it does is it sets the request body part with whatever the details, with whatever the JSON format that is coming from the request. So in the request previously we sent the entire student details, and that got inside the rec.body. Who did it? It is this one, these two middlewares did it. And then what it called, it called a internally, it called a function, an inbuilt function, which is called next function. The next function, it is like next this. So inbuilt, it is by inbuilt they called internally they called this, and then the cursor moved towards the particular request endpoint. So let's suppose I am requesting for this post ad. So first it has to pass through these two middlewares. It will pass through these two middlewares the details that in JSON format, whatever I am sending with the request, that will be put it in the request.body, and then it will internally call this next function, and then after the next function is called, it will go to this particular controller function and it will execute the various functions with the database. It will store it, the things in the database in the atlas, and all that things will happen. So we have to pass also. So we are doing some, we have access to the request, we are doing something with the request, and then we are passing our cursor to the next controller function for its execution. So these are all about inbuilt middlewares. We can also create our own middlewares. So we can write app.use. Now we can write our own middlewares. So it takes one function as its input. So I can write arrow function, and inside it there will be 3 parameters instead of 2. So request and response, that is associated with each and every request. But along with that we have got access to the next. Next is a keyword which is used to pass my control to the next function in the line. So here, so this is a our middleware, custom middleware that we have made. So I can write console.log middleware, console.log middleware, I can write it. Now I don't call the next. If I don't call the next, so it will be stuck here forever. So I will just make any random request from this thing, and I will check the console log is happening here or not. So your server should be running, it is running, and I will make this delete request. So here you can see middleware, and this is still, it is working and working and working. So it is, look, there is no end for this. So why? Because it is stuck here. It is stuck here. It is not passing the cursor to anywhere, and it is not ending the request also. So this is not good. So what we will do, instead of, let's suppose I want to instead I want to end the request here. I don't allow it to go beyond. I don't allow it to go, since we are making a delete request, so I don't allow it to go here. So what I will do is I will do return, and from here I will return that res.send permission denied, permission denied. So I can deny the permission. So here I will make go, and here I will make this send. So here you can see permission denied is coming, because here I have used the return keyword. As soon as this app.request is called, app.use will execute, the console log middleware will happen, and then it will return immediately from here, and it will say that permission denied. No, you are not allowed, right? So now you can check, put a lot of checks over here. So here we can put, like, for example, let's suppose there is a request that is sending a password over here, and the password is already stored in my database. So I can over here check from the database, I can bring, so student dot that particular person dot password, I get the particular password. Is the password matching with the request rec dot password? If it is passing, if it's matching, then call the next function, otherwise directly return from here permission denied. So for this kind of usage, we like this kind of things, we use middleware. So here if I call the next function, so now the delete thing will be executed. Now the delete thing will be executed. Let us not call delete one, let us call add one, add request and post. I will pass some details. So there were, after name it was roll number, so here roll number, and then it is branch CSE, and here I can write year as 2, and here I will run it. So here you can see inserted. Why is it showing inserted? Because here in the return I have called the next function. So as soon as it allows, so next function is used to pass my cursor, so it passes through this. So here you can see the middleware is also printed. So first it came here, it printed the middleware thing, and then it called the next function, as a result of which this particular API endpoint is executed. This particular API endpoint gets triggered and that functionalities are done. So if there is some checks I wanted to put, and so here I would have written like if rec.body, so I would have written like this. Let's suppose I will only I am creating a condition that I will only store roll number 4. If any other roll number is there, I won't store it. Okay, so I can write like this. So rec.body, because I can access the rec.body, roll number, right? Spelling roll number. If the roll number is equals to 4, if the roll number is 4, then insert it to the database. Else part, else just say return res.send not allowed, right? So here I will just send, I will try to add this particular data. So it is inserted, but as soon as I change this to 5, not allowed, it is not allowing to go for further execution. So this is the use of middleware. We can put some checks and we can allow, like we can then create some conditions that whether it should work, like whether it should execute that particular controller function or not. So welcome everyone. In this lecture, we will understand what is AngularJS, how to do a basic setup of an AngularJS project, and how AngularJS makes our life easy to make a very strong and powerful frontend. So let us move ahead with how to make the basic setup of AngularJS. Now, to create an Angular project, we will create a folder AngularJS and open it in VS Code. Now we will get the Angular CLI so that we can run AngularJS commands in it so that we can run our project. To get the AngularJS CLI, we will write npm I, so node package manager. So npm install -g, so it is globally installed @angular CLI. So this will bring my Angular CLI in my machine. Then I will be able to write Angular commands in it so that I can run my project and create other subcomponents in it. So using Angular CLI, I can run my project and also add various other components to my project. So here Angular CLI is created and we now have access to the Angular CLI. So now we will write ng. Now I have got the command, like I can write now ng command. So ng space new, and I can write the project that I a name to my project. So I will write my first project, something like this, and I will click on enter. So this will create a new project, Angular project for me. So do I need Angular routing? It will ask. I will say yes. Is it CSS or whatever other frameworks of CSS are there? It will ask me. So I will go with normal CSS. So here it will create a basic setup of Angular project. So it will take some time, and after some time this my project folder will be populated with a lot of AngularJS files. So now the AngularJS project basic setup is done. So what we will do, we will first cd inside this my project. So I will do cd, then I will click on the tab button and my project will be open. So yeah, here it is open. So now I will type ng-serve command to run my AngularJS project. So it will run the basic setup, the basic project that is created by Angular for us, the basic website that will be given by default by Angular to us, that will run. So after some time it will pop up a website for us, and that will be nothing but the by default whatever Angular has created. So yeah, here you can see that port number 4200, in this particular port number the AngularJS website is live. So we can follow this link and we can open that particular website. So here is the website. Now this website, we can see that the basic default by default website is generated by Angular to us. Now here we can go and learn about AngularJS, like there are various links associated with it, the documentation links and all that are associated with it. So now we will work on this project. So we will clear this up first and then we will start working on it and we will customize our own project in it. So coming back to VS Code, here now we will understand what is there inside the My Project folder. So here inside this My Project folder, we can see various files are there. The files that are most important are inside this src. Inside this src, inside the app folder, we have got the various files. One of the most important file over here is this app component.html. So whatever content that we saw on the website, it is because of whatever is written inside this file. So whatever is written inside this file, due to this file, the content was shown up on the web page. And all along with this, whatever the content, the beautiful content, along with the style, whatever the buttons were there and all that, along with that, there were JavaScript associated with it. So when we clicked on a particular button, it took me to another page. So that JavaScript, how is it associated with this HTML file? So that is written inside this app.component.ts folder. So in this app.component.ts folder, we create a component. So what is a component in AngularJS? A component in AngularJS means a collection of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So the HTML is written inside this template URL. So HTML can be thought of as a view. The whatever the things we saw on the web page, that is nothing but served by the HTML file. So that can also be said as a template, or it can also be said as a view. So that is what HTML file serves as. Now whatever the styling that we saw on the web page, how all the things were aligning in the center, how the box shadow was coming when I was hovering my mouse on the buttons, so all these things came because of the CSS file. So the CSS file, I will write it inside the styles URL. So inside the app folder, so here we have got the component.css, app.component.css. So there, this folder is linked with this particular component, and this file is associated with this component, and this file is associated with this component. Along with that, whatever JavaScript that I will write inside this class, inside this normal JavaScript class, whatever for JavaScript I will write, so that JavaScript will be responsible to provide the functionality to my web page. So again, it is a combination of the HTML file and the CSS file and the JavaScript that I write inside the class. The HTML file URL I pass inside this template URL, and the CSS file I pass inside this styles URL, and the JavaScript I write inside the class component. So now what we will do is first .component.html. So I will select everything and I will just delete everything, and I will just make a h1 tag, and I will just simply say hello world. Let us see hello world is shown up on the web page or not. So we will go to the web page, and yeah, hello world is shown up. So now we can work on this HTML file and we can build whatever we want to. Like we can bring all the various components and we can make a complete website by starting with this HTML file. Now again, coming back here in the app component.ts, we have got something known as selector. In this selector, some word is written, that is app.app-root. So what is this selector? Selector can be thought of as a name associated with a component. So here app.app-root is nothing but the name of this particular component. Now ultimately this HTML, CSS and JavaScript is wrapped inside this component, and this component is then shown up inside here, this index.html. Here you can see the app root is called. So this app root is nothing but over here how the component is called, how the component is showing up, that is showing up because of this selector, the name that is given to it, that is app.app-root. That app-root is called over here in index.html, and due to this thing, so inside the body there is only the app root. So due to this calling of the particular component, and since we know that the particular component is made up of HTML, CSS and JavaScript, so the entire website is looking just like the component. So whatever is there inside the component, that is being shown up on the website, and because the component is called inside the index.html, so it is showing over there. Now let us understand how we can use these variables, the JavaScript variables. So this is a JavaScript variable written here. So how I can use this JavaScript variable inside HTML? So I want to bring my JavaScript inside the HTML. So I want to do some data binding. So inside this HTML file, I will go and I will write double curly brackets, and inside that I will write the variable name that I want to insert. Now the variable has to be present inside this particular component inside this particular class, and then only I will be able to use this variable inside the HTML page. So inside the HTML page, I can directly call the variable, but inside double curly brackets. So let us see, is it showing up on the web page or not? So here, yes. So whatever the content, whatever the value was stored inside the variable, that is shown up on the web page. So if I go here and change the value from this to whatever A, B, C, D. So now let us check, is it ABCD updated? Yes, immediately ABCD is updated. So we don't have to rerun the website or whatever. So any change automatically detected and automatically served on the web page. So that is the advantage of using AngularJS. Now let us understand what is the use of this making this component. So why are we creating this HTML, CSS and JavaScript all together and bundling it up as a component? So what is a component basically? A component is nothing but in a web page, the various different sections, just like a nav bar can be a component, a heading can be a component, a photo section, a carousel where the images are shown up like in a broader aspect, and we can click on the arrow buttons on the left and right so that we can swipe the images. So that can be thought of as another component. So these are the various components, like we divide the various sections of the web page into various components. So it, first of all, it creates a reusability. Like reusability factor is that, for example, there are multiple pages associated with a website. For example, a home page, about us page, a contact us page. So every page needs a navbar. So we won't be writing the navbar code again and again for each and every page. We will bundle up the HTML file, the CSS file and the JavaScript file needed to make a navbar inside a navbar component, and we will use the navbar component when it is required in various different pages. So we will just import the component, and in one line I will just add the entire component of the navbar. So we just write the logic and the code only once, and then we can reuse it again and again. And also it impacts on readability. It increases the readability of the code. So when it is component divided, when each and every component is building a small part of the web page, so it is easy to understand for other developers. In industry, it is very important for us to create readable codes, so it is easier for other developers to understand and see your code, like, okay, so this part is doing this and this part is doing this. So it is much more modularity, promoting a much more bigger modularity and readability. So now let us see how the various elements inside this component, like how the HTML and the JavaScript and CSS are communicating with each other. Let us make some simple application, and with that we will try to understand it. So before that, I will just again run this project. So npm ng serve, and it will run the project. Now what I want to do is, I want to make a communication, establish a communication between the HTML and the JavaScript file. For example, I want to create a button, and let's suppose on clicking on the button, alert box comes in. So alert box is nothing but a JavaScript pop-up. So as of now, the website is looking like this. So in the 4200 at this particular there, so it is running. So yeah, hello world ABCD is running there. Now what I will make some changes. So here I will come, and in app HTML, so I will create a form or a input field, basic input field. Now input field, it will be of, let's suppose, type, I can make it a button of type button, and I will make some directives. So what is a directive? Directive is nothing but AngularJS syntax written inside HTML file. What are directives are used for? Directives are used for to change the behavior of a tag. So now this tag would have been like, had I not written this, so this tag would have been a normal HTML tag, type button, right? But now as soon as I add a directive to it, so a directive, I will write some AngularJS code, that is click. So this AngularJS code, that is click, it is used to register or listen for a click. If I just click on it, it will automatically trigger what? It will automatically trigger a function. Let's suppose I name that function as myfunc. So immediately myfunc function will be called. So I will define this myfunc function over here, and here I will just define that. So here I will write function, or like I can write my func, the name that I have given. So here I will write that alert hello. So as soon as this button, as soon as I will click on this button, so my func will be this thing. So I will put a value so I will associate a value with it. So click me, so that it shows click me on the web page, and then as soon as I click on it, my func will be called, and then the JavaScript that is written inside the component, the app component over here in the class, so that will be called. So let us see how it is happening. So here now you can see the click me button is coming. So I will just click on it, and you can see the alert is coming. So why is it happening? Because of this particular directive. So this is a directive which is a AngularJS code inside the HTML file. Had I not written this directive, so this would have been a normal input field having of type button and a value of click me, and had I clicked on it, there would have been no action taken. But if I write a directive to it, so it is nothing but an AngularJS code. So if I just input inside the HTML, so then it will register, it will listen for a click, and as soon as I click it, so my function will be called, and my function will be called over here. So that is written inside the component. So this inside this class, so this class, the JavaScript class, is communicating with this HTML file through directives. So through directives we can create a establish a communication between the HTML file and the JavaScript over here. So this is how we can create establish the relationship between a component. We can understand how a component works internally. So now after understanding how components work internally, now let us understand what is module. Modules are nothing but collection of components. What is collection again? It is nothing but HTML and CSS and JavaScript. HTML as a template, CSS as a styling component, and JavaScript will add the functionalities to it. That makes a particular component. We use a component for usability factor, for readability factor. So we can write the code once and we can use them again and again when needed. So that makes a complete bundle, a complete component. Now that components, like there can be various components in a particular web page. There can be nav bar, there can be header section, there can be a footer section, there can be an image section. So all these components can be there, various different components can be there. So that components, collecting them together and making another bigger bundle, that is because is possible by making a module. So module is nothing but collection of our components. So here there is app component. Now you can see where this app component is coming from. So if you go here, so here this app component is nothing but this particular component. So we are using it inside this declaration. So I have to declare how many components there are in total. So as of now there is one component. So if had there been other components, so I would have written that another component like that, another component like that, I could have written it. So whatever the components are, I can write it. So now these are few imports. Like what are these? Like these are few separate inbuilt modules that is provided by AngularJS to us, so that we can perform some specific actions, like app routing module. App routing module helps us to shift from one web page to another web page without actually loading the web page. Browser module is again yet another inbuilt module. We will see them in detail. And what is this bootstrap? Bootstrap over here, like let's suppose there are plenty of like three components are there. Now which component will run first? So we have to maintain an order, right? So I have maintained told that this component are there, but which component will come first, then that component will come, then other component will come. So for that, inside the bootstrap I mentioned this component will come first, then after that I can put the comma and I can put the other component. So this is the way we can order the various components. So modules are nothing but collection of components. And what are components? Components are again collection of HTML, CSS and JavaScript. We can create a communication between HTML and JavaScript using directives, just the way we saw. So let us understand Angular directive by taking another example. So we'll be making this short application where we will be typing in whatever I feel like. So I will write name, and as soon as I click it, so that will be listed here. If I add another thing, any other thing, so if I just click it, so that will be added. So as I keep on going it, so it will be added to my list. So how to make this particular application? So let us come back to VS Code, and here we will see first the basic HTML file. So in the HTML file, I have got this input field having of type text, and I have done here a data binding. Data binding is a very important concept in AngularJS, where we bind a database, a data variable. So we have got a variable initialized in the app.component.ts, and from there I can send the data into the HTML file. I can update the data, and then I can also from the HTML file I can send it back to the component, the app.component.ts file. So it is the data variable, and the data stored in it can be passed back and forth from the HTML file to the app.component.ts file, again from the app.component.ts file to the HTML file. So this is how data binding occurs. So to do that, we write square bracket and then parenthesis, and then in between we write ng model. Now ng model is a directive which is used to do this data binding, and as a value we pass the name of the variable that we want to send back and forth from the HTML file to the TS file. So here the variable is mentioned inside the class. So here the class app component is defined, and inside that we have created this variable of a empty string, initialize it with an empty string, and then whatever the value I will enter into this input field, the value will be modified and and will be stored inside the title variable. So to do this we use this directive, but how to if this directive, to access it we have to mention something in the app.module.ts. So in app.module.ts we have to include this forms module. We have to include this forms module so as to do this particular, so as to use this particular directive. Now I will make a input button of type button, input field of type button, and here as a value I will pass that click me, and then we have passed here a another directive, like it is a Angular. So directive is nothing but again it is Angular syntax written inside HTML file. So this click button, so this click is another directive which will look for a click for on this particular button, and as soon as a click is registered it will call this func. So let us go back to our app.component.ts. So here we have created the variable which is initialized with an empty string, and an array I have declared, and that array will be of array string. So this is a TypeScript, this is a TypeScript syntax, right? So it is a TypeScript syntax where we declare, like TypeScript is a strongly typed JavaScript language. Here we have to declare each and every variable what is its type. So this array is storing mainly array of strings. So that's how the syntax goes. So array is the name of the variable, then what is it storing? It is a array basically storing strings, and I'm making a empty array as of now by using the new command. So here the new keyword is used to make an empty array of strings, and that is stored inside this array variable. Now as soon as over here I clicked it, so the click directive got triggered, and then which will in turn trigger this function. Now this function over here will run. Now what is this function doing? So this dot array, so this dot array means this array of strings. To select this array of strings we have used this dot array. So this means this particular classes component, this particular classes data member, this particular classes data member is nothing but this variable is used to access. So this dot array means this class components array variable. Yes, there is a array variable which is nothing but an array of strings. Inside that push this dot title. So whatever the title is, so push that. So over here in the HTML file, as soon as I will update anything, as soon as I will type anything in this input field, and then I will uh, update it. So as soon as I update, so the title variable will be modified with the updated value that I entered inside this input field. And then as soon as I click on the next input field button, so now here this function will run, and now here title is not this empty string. Now this empty string got updated with whatever value I updated during in the input field. So automatically that got updated, and then this updated value is pushed inside this array, and then after the updated value is pushed, I am again reinitializing the title variable with empty. Now this form value, whatever the form inside the form, whatever I type, that is nothing but title itself. So if I make the title as empty, so the form will also be empty. So then, and here I'm just console logging the array. Now let us come back and see, understand what is happening. So here, as soon as I type, so whatever I will type, that will be populating my title variable there. As soon as I click on it, the title variable, the updated title variable got pushed into the array. And along with that, in the function, I have setted the title to be again as null string. Now whatever the value inside the input field, that is nothing but the title. So if the title is null again, so the input field will also be null. So as soon as I again type something, as click it again, so the input field is again back to null, because the title is again back to null, and the new title is again pushed. So pushed means it is added at the back. So previously this was there, and then previously this was there, and then this is also added. Now array contains these two elements. Now if I again type something and again click me, so what will happen, these two were previously there, and now this will be added along with that, those two, and the new array will contain all these things. Now how we are showing all the three elements of the array? So here we are using another directive, which is nothing but ng for directive. So before that, let us see the structure of the table. So we have created a table tag which is having a tr tag. So this is table, and tr means table row. So one row I have declared. So in first row I am making a td means table data. So inside the table data, it is showing the list. So you can see here, this is the first row showing the list, and there, and then I have making a row, then I am making a row which is nothing but, which will be a collection, like the number of rows will be there, that will depend on something. Now what it will depend on? So here this asterisk ng for is a directive which is used just like an for loop. So it is looping through this array. Now what is this array? So this array is nothing but this array which I have mentioned here. Now this array, after each and every click me, is pushing a new title inside it. So this array size will be variable, and hence after every click me, the for this array size is variable, and hence the number of rows are also variable. So what it is creating, the ng for is creating that many number of rows, how many elements are there inside the array. So what we write, asterisk and ng for, and then we pass as a value in double quotes. In double quotes we pass as a value the array, but we iterate through each and every element of the array. So we write let item of array. So this is the syntax, let item, we create a new for loop variable, just like we create a for loop variable, we create a variable which will traverse through this array. Now this arrays, each and every element will be taken up by this item one by one. And here what I have written, here I have written an expression in curly brackets, double curly brackets. Inside that, if I write anything, that will be an expression that will treat as a variable. So this item will be not printed as item as it is. This item is nothing but each and every element of this array, and each and every new element of the array, that's value will be printed here. So as soon as I click on the uh, on this input button, so it calls this function, and this function, inside that, it pushes the new, in the array it pushes the new title that I have just populated in the input field, and I am making the title back to null. So as a result, what is happening, the particular this input field is now null, and the input field is empty now. But then at the same time, this list is shown up, and below this list there is a lot of table rows are appended. Like, it will traverse through this array, the inside the array it is newly inserted, I have newly inserted a, you know, a new title, and the array size has grown up. So it will traverse through each and every element, starting from the very beginning to the very end. It will traverse through the each and every element of the array, and each and every element will be shown up here in the td inside this expression. So double curly brackets, and then item is nothing but the value of each and every elements that is stored inside this array, and ng for being a directive which is used just like a for loop to traverse through the elements of the array. So now let us see also, as soon as I will enter this, enter anything, so if I click me, so that is added, and let us inspect it and go to the console. You can see the array of length 4. So here it is also 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 elements are here. Here also see the last one is a 4 element. So all these 4 elements are there. So this is because of this console log. The console log that I am doing over here, that console log is coming in this console terminal. So how it came, I clicked on, right clicked, click on inspect, and then I went to this console, and hence all the 4 things are coming. So as soon as I will enter again, I will click me. So another title was pushed to the array, and that array I have printed here, console log. So all the 5 elements are coming here, and immediately the 5 elements are printed here due to the ng for directive.